Actors on Acting, the best actor interviews online. On Cosmoetica's YouTube and Vimeo channels.
Kurosawa, who said that oftentimes he would advise his actors to come up with a little tick or something. And you can see it in his films. Each of the characters will have some little thing. Maybe they wipe their brow a lot or something. How do you get into character, and what is your sort of recommendation for younger actors?
You can't create out of what you don't know, right? Until you are conversant with yourself, until you understand how you would react in given circumstances, until you can use your imagination, like what would it be like to find a dead body on the floor of your kitchen? What would it be like to be beaten up in an alley? What would it be like to have $2 million? What would it be like? I mean, it's imagination, and you can't find it in your head. You have to find it in your body.
How important is that withholding of things?
Yeah, it's important if there's going to be a subtext. Daytime, you can see somebody phoning in a performance because they've done it 400 times already. We know that's very tough because we know that these mediums are about homogenizing. Right? All of them.
The craft of
Let's do
acting.
more of what made money yesterday. Let's not talk about, not only level 2, or certainly not level 3. You know, just give me more level 1. There is a big difference between a really good commercials in general, and really good actors, directors.
And actors' realities.
A commercial director has a very tight window in which to get his message through. And it's probably, if it's a 30-second commercial, he has 20-something seconds to get that message through. So the director knows almost exactly what he wants.
Like you see a box, right? We're all looking at things on screens, and even on stage it's a box, right? So somebody walks out on stage. Where were they right before they walked out on stage? And where were they? Where did they come from?
Yeah.
That's
Stoking the demiurge.
Before I enter the frame, before I go on camera, I do the work to make me a complete person before I go on camera. Whatever that means, whether it means or not, none of that is my business. My only business is to create a real, breathing human being.
There was a more serious tone to it. With Rob Reiner and Gloria, it was funnier with them. I don't think it was as funny with
Honest
than
revelations.
the other guy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you saw it, I mean, Norman Lear was brilliant. You know, he knows, and he was wonderful.
84, and at that era, every show that had a male and female co-lead was trying to do the Sam and Diane Cheers thing with sexual tension. Was there that kind of interplay between the characters of Hunter and Dee Dee?
Memories and anecdotes.
That was really kept at arm's length. It was a, as you put it, a 1-hour drama, crime drama. And we did shoot in LA. In those first couple of years, it was really, gritty, tough. The thread that wove through experiences we had as the characters on each episode that kept a different flow that made people want to watch.
So I did the thing, and the crew was laughing at some scenes pretty hard. And they have to shut up because we're shooting. And I had dinner with Kathleen Turner about 2 or 3 nights later, and she said, "Do you think that scene's still going to be in the picture?" I said, "Well, yeah, the crew was laughing." She said, "That's what I mean." I said, "What do you mean?"
Inside stories of the
The
business.
crew laughs. They're too inside. It's not stuff that a regular audience is going to find funny. I just think that's going to be cut. That freaked me out. Went to the screening. I was invited to go to this, wherever studio it was. And Carl comes out and he says, "So I had to cut some of you." And he looked straight at me. And I said to my wife at the time, I said, "He looked just straight at me about being cut out of this." Afterward, Carl came over to me. And, aside from John Astin, maybe the nicest man I've ever met in show business or anywhere else, he said, I'm so sorry. I had to cut it. I had to cut for plot. And so some of the funny stuff had to go. I did know at that point that a filmmaker's job is to create the illusion of continuous action, which is you sacrifice for plot. Plot is number one, even in a comedy, which I thought was kind of ridiculous because the Marx Brothers doesn't work that way.
Do a role like that.
There's nothing like that because all those things, those are stories. Those are things that happen. They happen to people.
The will and drive of an actor.
People do those things, and I think that for me now, there's really nothing that I would say, oh, I can't do that, because all that whole range of human experience, these are all things that happen. We all want to understand why they happen. We all read the newspaper and go, oh my God, And theater is a way of exploring that.
In America, a woman is always dependent on a man. It's about, can she reproduce or find a man, whereas European or other cinemas will focus on the woman as a person, as a being. And as I said to Michelle Green, in America, women are vaginas with accoutrements.
That's very fun.
Taking on Hollywood's flaws.
Yeah. He's the representative of the human race. He's the, from Hamlet and Richard III. Male roles. It's a wider problem, and I don't know if Europeans deserve all the credit that you give them. But
This to me is a problem with SAG. That's all part of the southeastern Miami SAG brand. Actors drive hundreds of miles each way.
The cruel realities of the business.
They don't get compensated. Hell, they don't even get the mileage allowance. They just do it because that's the way this region, quote unquote, is. And I just think that's bizarre. Really terrific people. And when I worked for them, they paid me well. They also gave me a travel allowance as well as per diem. And I would rent a car. I'd, spend a couple of $100 on the car and I'd have a few hundred left over on the travel allowance. And, I'd have my per diem. I was like, this is like found money and I can contentedly sit there for 7 hours, stop however many times I need to, and get there on my own time. But I think that, especially with Florida as it is, where they don't have the production incentives that they had, and 3 years ago, the funding dried up. The state legislature has not seen fit to reactivate or refund those incentives. And without those incentives, there's not going to be work of any consequence in Florida.
I think it's incredibly important. Our role in society, this medium is huge, and every children
An actor's role in
they're
society.
the ones that are most influenced by this young children. They watch these movies and they watch the stories and they're influenced. That's why superhero, a girl who's strong, yes. A girl who goes around killing people gratuitously, no. I'm sorry, I'm very black and white on this. I think all this violence in movies is exacerbating our problems in many ways. So I get frustrated with a lot of the films that show a lot of unnecessary violence and horrific things. But I also understand that some big films, we just want to see a blockbuster and just eat popcorn and just get everything, it's nonsensical, it's fun, it's silly, it's funny, it's ridiculous, it would never happen in real life, but you're just like, oh. So I think we need some of that lightness. But I definitely lust for films that have depth and soul. As an audience viewer, I go to a lot of foreign films. I see a lot of foreign films. So that's kind of my passion. And also English films, they're wonderful. Maggie Smith's films, and Judi Dench roles, and Kate Blanchett, they always put so much depth and heart, and I'm going, I wish we did more films like that. I want to work more in Europe. I'm trying to work my way back so I can spend more time doing films that I really, or TV films, whatever it is, where I can do those roles that say something, that transcends day-to-day life, that makes people, or that represents day-to-day life, make people really think about what they feel.
The blessing was that they found out, what people
Degrees
felt.
of separation.
The curse was sometimes it didn't go with their plans for what they had for people. And strangely enough, the 9/11 and the paranoia that came with that, and correct paranoia, but when they started scanning the mail and not reading it anymore, when it became an issue that it might be some kind of terroristic threat or whatever, that's when snail mail became obsolete.
Yeah.
And so they don't get that anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure people still write fan letters, but it's a rare day that it would actually be dumped on the front door of a studio for them to say, here's a sack of
Actors
mail.
on acting.
That's an
And
interesting
nobody
point.
writes anymore, you know.
Yeah.